we hear about the Proverbs 31 woman, most of us believe it is the married one. The married woman, because she has it all. She has it all together. But I want to tell you that it is not only the married women that can actually be the Proverbs 31 women. When I was actually researching and reading about what I needed to talk about today, I had to find out who this Proverbs 31 woman is. And maybe before I go into the topic of today, I want us to look at Proverbs 31, the entire verse, and we see what kind of woman Proverbs talks about. Apostle, help me from verse 1. I have chapter Proverbs 31 from verse 1 following. Okay. The words of the king, Lemuel, the prophecy that his mother told him. What, my son, and what, the son of my womb, and what, the son of my vows? Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. It is not for kings, O Lemuel, it is not for kings to drink wine, nor for princes strong drink, lest they drink and forget the law and pervert the judgment of any of the afflicted. Give strong drink unto him that is ready to perish, and wine unto those that be of heavy hearts. Let him drink and forget his poverty, and remember his misery no more. Open thy mouth of the dumb in the cause of all such as are appointed to destruction. Open thy mouth, judge righteously, and plead the cause of the poor and needy. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeketh wool and flax, and worketh willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant's ship. She bringeth her food from afar. She riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household, and a portion to her maidens. She considereth a field and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hand she planteth a vineyard. She girdeth her loins with strength, and strengthens her arms. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night. She layeth her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff. She stretcheth out her hand to the poor. She reaches forth her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow of her household, for her household are clothed with scarlet. She maketh herself coverings of cypress. Her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sitteth among the elders of the land. She maketh fine linen and sells it, and delivers girdles unto the merchant. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she will rejoice in time to come. She openeth her mouth with wisdom. In her tongue is the law of kindness. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eats not the bread of idleness. Her children arise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but excels them all. Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain. But a woman that fears the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. Wow. Now, that is an ideal Proverbs 31 woman that the Bible talks about. Now, most of us, when we talk about the Proverbs 31 woman, you imagine, do I really think I can match to that really standard? Do you really think I can match up to that kind of woman? And I'm like, Nedda, I need to leave this, because me who wakes up at midday, How? The woman is talking about waking up before it is even, morning, prepares for her children, prepares for the husband. So when you look at yourself with your weaknesses, you say, I cannot match up to that standard. But I'm here to tell you that you can actually be a Proverbs 31 woman when you choose to. Trust me. The Proverbs 31 woman is a role model for all of us, I should say, showcasing what it means to live a life of faith, integrity, and courage. Now, most of us would really think that if you are to be this virtuous woman, if you are not courageous enough, then you cannot build onto actually or develop yourself into being one. If you are to actually be this virtuous woman, most of us think that, me, I keep doubting. I do not even have faith. Do I really think I can be that virtuous woman the Bible talks about? But today we are going to learn how we can actually be virtuous women. Before I go into how we can be virtuous women, I want us to show us different examples in the Bible of the different women who actually portrayed what a virtuous woman was or is, and probably tried to actually relate to the Proverbs 31 woman. And one of them that I actually noticed, there are very many, but I picked out a few that would work for us in this very service. The first is Ruth. Ruth was known for her loyalty. She left her homeland to take care of her mother-in-law, Naomi, and trusted in God. And this is seen in Ruth chapter 1, verse 16 to 17. Now, Ruth decided to move with Naomi and trusted the God of Naomi. We have seen that, you see, a Proverbs 31 woman is that person who is loyal, one who can be trusted. Now, she needed to, her portraying the character of moving with the mother-in-law, even when she did not know where her destiny would end, was really commendable as one of the women whom I have chosen to look at as Proverbs 31. We see Esther, who showed immense courage, risking her life to save the Jewish people from being killed. Now, we all know the story of Esther, because for sure she had entered the palace, and now she's going to become a queen, and here Mordecai is telling her that, you see, if you do not know that you've actually come to the palace, maybe you've actually come to the palace at such a time, you need to actually rise up and then go to the king so that our people will not perish. So we see Esther portraying courage when she decided to risk everything. You know, those days, the queen was not supposed to approach the king if she was actually not called. But then, after telling her people, please, let's fast for me, I'll also do the same with my maidens, she went ahead and approached the king in courage, and her people were actually spared. That is in Esther. That is Esther. The other lady I saw as a Proverbs 31 woman is Mary, the mother of Jesus. This is a lady who was courting somebody, planning to get married. And here the angel of the Lord is coming to tell her that, you see, you have been chosen. And you being chosen means you are going to bring the Savior or the Messiah into the world. Now, if the angel appeared to some, and you love your man in today's environment or in today's world, someone will say, I think I cannot afford to do that. But imagine she trusted the word of God and said, let it be unto me as you have decided. That was, she really portrayed the character of a Proverbs 31 woman, one who is obedient to the Lord, one who feared the Lord, and one who was willing to ensure that she actually acts on what God had actually told her. Because we have seen in the characters or the traits of a Proverbs 31 woman as one who fears the Lord and actually acts on his word. The other lady I saw as one who portrayed the character of a Proverbs 31 woman is Hannah. Hannah, we all know the story of Hannah, which is shown in 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 11 to 24 to 28, where she didn't have a child for a very, very long time. But because she trusted in the Lord and knew that come and buy, I will definitely see this. So she did not trust in what other people were telling her, but decided to put her faith in God. After a long time of infertility and being barren, because of her trust in God, she saw a baby boy, Samuel. And at that point, she was able to fulfill the word she had made, or the vow she had made before God, that she needed to bring this gentleman or the boy before the Lord to serve him. Now, a Proverbs 30 woman is loyal. When she says, I am doing this, she will definitely do that which exactly she has said. Most of us would imagine that if, now in today's world you find that somebody tells you something and they're actually going against their word. So we are going to look at how you can actually be that virtuous person, because once you understand how the Proverbs 31 person operates, you're able to actually try to work on yourself to actually move in those footsteps. Yes, then the last one I looked at is Dorcas. For her, she was known for her constant acts of charity and kindness towards the poor. That is seen in Acts chapter 9, verse 36. Now, we have seen that under the Proverbs 31 woman, this kind of woman gives back to the poor, to those in need. Because you'd imagine that for you, when you have, it is about you, and you do not think about those who are actually in need. Because these are the acts that actually God requires us to do in the different communities or societies that we come from. Now here is the big question. How can one become a virtuous woman in today's societies, in today's environment? How can one become a virtuous woman? I have looked at becoming a virtuous woman in different ways. The first I have looked at is a woman as a virtuous daughter. Now, in today's environment or in today's world, you will find that we are daughters to real biological parents, we have spiritual parents, and you find that honoring them becomes a problem. There are those ones you find that they even quarrel with their parents, the ones who gave birth to them. And you'd imagine, okay, if I'm to be a Proverbs 30 woman or a virtuous woman, would I actually be doing this? So one of the things I pointed out as one being able to be a virtuous woman is, let's look at a woman as one who is a daughter. Now we're going to look at it in the perspective of a daughter to the biological parents, a daughter to the spiritual parents who are leading us in church, and the things that they need to do to help them become virtuous women. Now, one of the things I saw that if we are to become virtuous daughters as women, we have got to honor our parents, respect them. There is a lady I was listening to, she's a preacher, and she was basically saying that she quoted something. She said, if you don't sow it, you won't reap it. For example, most of us wait for our parents to beg. For those of us who, they could be guardians, your real parents, for those who took care of you. Now, most of us wait for those parents to beg, even when you know you're working, you have an income, but then you wait for them to actually beg for money from you. So, not knowing that even you have children, you have given birth to children, and then tomorrow, if you do not do the same thing to your parents, these same children will do the same thing to you. Because she actually mentioned a statement, and it really caught my attention. I said, if you don't sow it, then you won't reap it. And I said, okay, this is food for thought. Because I'm imagining, if I want to be that virtuous daughter, I should look at my parents. They don't have to wait. I don't have to wait for them to say, this is missing at home. I should make it something religious, that every time I get an income, the first people I think about are the parents. Of course, after thinking about God and church, the other people you look at are the parents. And we really look at them in different, by honoring them through giving, through respecting them as people who actually gave birth to us. Now, I will still say this to you, ladies. I know I am talking to ladies, but even the men, you will actually benefit in one way or the other. Let's try to sow. If we want to reap, let us sow that which we want to reap in the future or in our lives. If you really want to be respected, respect those who gave birth to you. Because once you respect them, you'll find that even your own children whom you have given birth to will respect you because of how you are behaving towards your parents. Now, the other thing that I understood as I was reading on what to talk about today is that some blessings are provoked. Some blessings are provoked. They are not said. For example, you find that when I was growing up, I grew up at my late uncle's home with the wife. So when I was growing up, I told myself if I finish school, because they raised me from nursery up to university. Now, I told myself that if I ever finish school, the first payment I get would be to bless these people. Now, I did not know what that was going to do for me. The first thing I did, I grew up with my cousins, their own children, but I knew in my heart that these people had raised me. All I was looking for from these people was a blessing. That now I am done with campus, I am going to start my own life. I need to bless them. So what I did, I got my first salary, all of it. I went to the supermarket. Anything I had never seen given to us as we were growing up, I had to buy it. I bought it and I said, okay, I put it in the car. By the grace of God, I was driving a small car, and then I went to my late uncle's home, and there I found the wife. And I told her, this is from my pay, the first pay. I want to bless you for the things you had done for me. Growing up I grew up in the best life you could ever imagine. But I knew if I needed a blessing from these people, I had to provoke the blessing. And so I moved and gave them, and there is no one she did not tell about that very act. But I knew before heaven that I had done the right thing, because these are people who had raised me, and they had loved me immensely. So when this preacher said that some blessings are provoked and not said, I remembered that, Pam, you may not have understood what you were doing, but you provoked on the blessing that you're still walking in. That is one. The other thing that we ought to do as virtuous daughters is we should forgive in case our parents hurt us. When it is your biological parent, please treat them with the most, with all the respect you can imagine. So this gentleman was a pastor in the village whom they would minister with. So that night he came home and he was saying that, I feel the Spirit of God telling us to have an overnight here. That's the time I just sat my senior 6, and I was seated there, not talking to Daddy, and there this gentleman comes and says, I had just come to bring, he used to take photos. He had taken a photo for my elder sister, and now he had come home to bring it. So here comes an instance, and he's telling my parents that I feel the Spirit of God telling us we should have an overnight here. I was waiting for my senior 6 results. And as he started, I didn't know the man, he didn't know me because I had grown up in Kampala. He was only known to my parents. So as we started worshiping and praying, this man, the Spirit of God tells him that there is a child here who is not talking to the father, your father here. And as soon as he said that, I knew deep down it was me. And my dad is this kind of person, he keeps quiet. But you see, when a parent keeps quiet and has anger, you are tying your own blessings. So he was angry, he did not tell me he was angry, and then he said, the Spirit of God is telling me, there is a child here, you are not talking to your father, and he holds the key to your blessings. Now, if your blessings are to move, let her kneel down before you, ask for forgiveness, and you pray a blessing upon this child. Now, I knew as soon as he said it, there's no one. Everyone at home knew what was going on. And I just started crying and knelt before my dad and told him, I'm really sorry. I know we have not been together, but I'm really sorry that I had to talk to you in such a way. And he told me, I was angry at you, but I didn't want to tell you. And he told me that now I need to pray a blessing for you. And there I knelt. In that same week, I was believing God for government sponsorship. So that gentleman said, now this is done. Your blessings have been released, that your parents are no longer having anger at you. My mom is different because she's born again. For her, when you annoy her, she will tell you there and then, and my dad will keep quiet. So he prayed a blessing. And in that same week, I can tell you, God is God. I did not know that God was preparing for me something special, but I needed to do the right thing before my biological parents. And in that same week, I remember being announced as the best student in our district. And we had been believing God for government sponsorship, and it is that same time that God brought the sponsorship. Because my parents had told me, if you don't make it for government sponsorship, I think you'll stop at senior 6. And I loved going to school. So God made in such a way that I needed to do the right thing for a blessing to be released. And I thank God because I did not expect to be the best student in that year, but God made it. I do believe that the act of forgiveness I did touched God's heart. I know most of us may think, God always had a plan. But you see, when you don't do the right thing before God, sometimes we hold our own blessings. I do believe that. The other thing is being a virtuous daughter to our spiritual parents. I remember the day Pastor Godwin stood here. Actually, as I was preparing, that came to my mind right away. And he said that the blessing God had given him over the years that he had been walking through, now God was instructing him to put it, to speak it on his children that he was nurturing in church. And then I said, okay, this is it. So he said, when you are a virtuous daughter, you are able to respect those who are raising you and feeding your spirit. In the sense that we don't talk about, he said, when someone blesses you, do not speak about them behind their backs. I said, okay, that is one. And then he went ahead to tell us that these people sacrifice a lot. He did not, but I imagine when I was preparing for the sermon, they sacrifice a lot. You're there moving with your work. They are putting in time to fast for everyone in church. And then you don't know how many battles that God has saved you because of their prayers. So as virtuous daughters, as women, and even as men, let's learn to respect our spiritual fathers. Some of you may say, I've remembered another story. This lady whom I was listening to, she's a very nice lady when she's talking to women. And she was saying that there are some of you, now I am not saying that should be the norm, but when the Spirit of God leads you, you do it. There are some of you who have been in church, you sit, and then you find that even the Spirit of God, that's how she said it, has never touched you to say, but these people pray for me. Can't I get like a kilo of sugar? And I give these people. Now, quote my statement. I'm not saying you should do it. But when the Spirit of God touches you, you say, I know they have, but by me doing it, I am evoking on the blessing. These people may have. Now, me, to be honest, Pastor Godwin and Jean Mom, you see me, when I came to this church, first of all, I know who you are. I know God has provided for you. So there are times when I would feel like I would want to give you something, but I say, these people have, this is small. Like that is what I would always imagine in my heart. And I imagined, sometimes it is not about what people have, but it is about recognizing the anointing that God has put upon their lives and that they are shepherding you. That is one thing we should owe to. And my perception changed. I said, whether they have or not, whatever I have, if God tells me I do it, I will do it. Because they have nurtured me. What I know now is because of them. I was so lost. With a lot of religion. But the day I came under their shepherding, life changed. My perception about how I see things has changed. So I actually asked God, forgive me because these are my spiritual parents, but when you saw someone has, and then you're like, this is for 20,000. I'm taking for these people who have, But it is invoking on the blessing. Trust me. The other thing that I looked at is, as women, now I'm speaking to us women. You see, as a Proverbs 31 woman, we have seen that she's able to use her hands to really make sure that she sustains her household and everything. Now, one of the things I have learned as a woman is we learn to add value to ourselves. Because that is when even your husbands will honor you and respect you. Now, I remember one time here, Pastor telling us that if you need to actually go back to school, you do it. Because this is something that is going to add value to you as an individual, not to your husband. This lady I always listen to always says that there are some of us as women, when my husband married me, he provides everything, But then you have never thought of the fact that if you were asked to actually say something in front of people, maybe you do not know English, you do not know a particular skill that could actually add value to your family, it would actually be something embarrassing. Now, it is kind of food for thought that even if you're married to a husband who has it all, think about adding value to yourself. That could necessitate you to go back to school. That could actually require you to attain a skill, maybe in tailoring, whichever skill you feel you are interested in. But is it bringing something on the table? This lady was saying that, the one I always listen to, and she was like, you see, most of us women, one, we know that we fear God. We are married to good husbands. And then at the end of the day, if you are asked to actually speak in front of this man's friends, you would say, you see, also know that I don't know English. You also know that I cannot actually speak and actually be able to represent you. You'll be the one to speak. Do you know how that demoralizes the man? Do you know how that demoralizes the man? Because he sees you as this person, the second in command, if he's not there. And then you would imagine if I've remembered of a lady called, we all know Full Figure, right? I saw this lady recently. She had graduated from nursery, and she was like, oh my God, I'm coming, Makerere, I'm coming. I said, oh my God, this is amazing. And I'm, yes, because God has started paving a way. This is a presidential advisor. And so she thought, if I cannot speak good English, how am I going to advise the president? People are going to be mocking this man. So the only thing I need to do is to go back to school so that I can speak some English. Even when people say that you appointed her because of maybe she's campaigning for you, but no. She decided to add value to herself. I don't know if I'm speaking things that people don't know. But I'm telling you, sometimes it is about adding value to ourselves. One, to attain value in the eyes of our husbands, value in the people we actually relate to in the community, and then God will also start opening doors. Once we start adding value to ourselves. The other thing that we ought to understand or do as ladies, as virtuous daughters, is we need to take care of ourselves. Love yourself. I remember Jean Mom telling us the day we were having this meeting to prepare for this day. He says, you ladies, love yourself. And she was giving us an example of her and Anna. That you see, we are the only women in the house. We are going to do, we shall love ourselves. We shall love ourselves. And trust me, she was right. Sometimes you just need to love yourself. When I was going through challenges, before I got to know about the message of grace, I had it all. But trust me, I had let myself go. No makeup, no nice hair, no nice dress. And it is not about how expensive the dress is. It is about, have you chosen something for your body that fits it perfectly? That when you get out, they will say, yes, she's a virtuous lady. Now, they would not know about the other aspects, but at least in terms of how you look, people will respect you. Not so? Yes, they will respect you because of how you look. It is, you see, good looking and taking care of ourselves also goes hand in hand with rebranding. There are times when people know you for something, but that one just comes with dresses. The first time I started teaching at MOBS, I remember a head of department said, you see, you've been students. Now, we want you to rebrand, and then students see you as lecturers. Because many students who were below me knew me as a student. And then at this point in time, I am now being taken on as a lecturer. He said, you need to rebrand. If you've been putting on like a student, now you need to rebrand. Rebranding is not about the outer bit only. Even the inside bit of the inner confidence, those small wins you tell yourself and say, I am keeping this promise to myself. I need to do this consistently. You are trying to build the inner courage, the inner confidence within yourself, that even by the time you start working on the outside bit, you are already of value. You have rebranded. I can assure you. So we had to work on that. It's the same thing in whichever place God has placed you in. Now, I could, talking to ladies, but I know I'm also helping somebody, a man. Because I'm imagining, one of the things I used to tell my husband, I used to tell him that, you see me, I love men who put on suits, like suits. I told him I was preaching today, and he said, really? So these days you do those things. So, and then, I don't know if he was watching, but I told him I love people who put on suits because you look responsible, because of the kind of work you do. And people will judge you by how you actually present yourself to them. So, me, I kept on praying for it, because out there, the world, I mean, they do consultancy work where they come in T-shirts, jeans, what. But me, I was always not comfortable with that kind of, I said, but you're going to office. Yeah, here, this is how life moves. Jeans, T-shirts, sandals, and you're working as long as you're giving results. And the first time he actually moved to his current job, I told him, no, actually didn't tell him, but this is what I'd always prayed for. The first thing they actually ushered him with was rules of the current place where he was going to work. And the first thing was to be in a suit from Monday to Friday. And I told him, oh yes, I told him, you see, this is what I've always told you. First impression matters. You present yourself as one who is respectable, and this is how people are going to take you. It's the same thing even with the ladies. How you present yourself is how people will take you. Whether people will respect you or not respect you is about how you have rebranded yourself, or how you look at them, or what you're going to say as your first words. This is how people will take you. They'll say, this person is knowledgeable, she's smart, she dresses well, she's responsible, and even opportunities will come in that line. That if you're one who is responsible, dresses well, speaks well, opportunities will locate you. They say, this person does this, she's good in this area. So as ladies, as men, we ought to actually think about it. The other thing that I looked at as a woman, as a prayer warrior. Now, as virtuous women, we need to stand in the gap for our families. We stand in the gap and pray for our children, pray for our spouses, pray for the church, pray for the different things that the Spirit leads us to. Because that way, you know, there are times actually, my mom tells me that I stand in the gap to pray for all of you, to the extent that I forget about myself. Now, that is for a woman that as she's growing and actually raising us, we are picking a leaf. You find that you are there praying, and my mother used to do this. You find that you're going to be walking in the same footsteps, being able to uphold the home, pray for your children, and even be able to change your spouses who may not know the Lord. The other is, I looked at as a woman as a single lady. Like I started by saying that most of us think every time we hear the Proverbs 31 woman, we are driven to think it's about only the married women. And it's not the case. You can be a single lady preparing to get married or positioning yourself to get married, and you become virtuous. So that is how even the gentleman will actually notice you. I was listening to one of the preachers, and she said that, you see, we have power in us. The same power that raised Jesus from the dead dwells inside of us. And that same power will quicken even the person supposed to marry you to actually get close to you. So if you are one who is a single lady and you are not minding about whether you walk in godly ways, you pray, you get a mentor. That is one of the things I was looking at, that when you are preparing to get married or be that virtuous woman, you get a mentor you look up to. You say, me, I love the way Jean Dad and Jean Mom are. So I want to move in their footsteps. So every time you get time, you're running to them to find out how are they doing it in their marriage, because this is where you're going. Because once you have mentors, they are able to train you into something that you'd want to look like. Now, as a single lady, just know that you do not have to really lose it trying to please people who are dating you, or you think they are wasting your time, or they tell you that I no longer want you in my life since we have been dating, and you feel shaken. This lady was saying, she speaks to women a lot. She was saying, you see, everything I have learned from her, I'm actually sharing. And she tells ladies a lot and says that, you see, it is not about who has left you. Do they know the power you are holding? Because women hold the power to change things. Oh yes. There are times when you get married to somebody and everything about your life as a man changes for the good. And, oh yes, amen. Says Semboze. High five. Mr. Semboze is saying, I'm a living testimony. Yes, it is very true, because you would imagine there are people whom you actually get to relate with, and then everything goes whatever you had. So as women, as one who knows God, as one who is prayerful, you have power to change things. Things change once you start speaking. As a lady, I know God listens to women. When they kneel down and say, this I want in my home, it will be seen. I can assure you. Me, there are several things I have shared with our spiritual parents that God has moved through me. I would just stand and say, God, this is how I want it. And this is how, and God has done exactly that which I want. I thank God for the grace. The other thing I would love to talk about is a woman as a virtuous wife. Now, we can all be wives, but they are virtuous wives. And in this instance, we are looking at this wife as one who is submissive, just like the Bible tells us in Ephesians 5:22. He says that wives must submit to their husbands as you also do to the Lord. Also, 1 Peter 3:1 advises wives to be submissive to their husbands, suggesting that even these who do not believe may be won over by the wife's behavior. You see, there are those wives you always quarrel. You find instances of where the Bible tells us to be submissive. Whether you have a born-again husband or not, you are supposed to be submissive. Where you find that, for the unvirtuous women, you find that somebody is telling you as the head of the family, please, let us use this money for this, and for you're saying, I make this money myself. So you do your thing, I also do my thing. And today women like that are there, where you find that now everyone is, I am going to do my thing, and you're also going to do your thing. Now, even if that person wanted to get born again and you're that kind of wife, they would not do it because of the behavior you are showing them. First of all, you're disrespecting them as the head of the family, and they are raising up and saying, my dear wife, let's use this money for this. I know we have all working, but let's use it for this. And for you saying, you use your money as a child. I have had people, when I just got married, I had colleagues like that at work who would tell people, don't tell your husband the kind of money you're earning, and then he's the sole provider. Isn't he the man who has married? And you'd imagine, okay, me, I'd never seen that with my parents, and even the ones who raised me, they'd always done things together. So, and you would find such people are getting challenges where you'd find that the man is struggling to make sure that the wife is happy. Yet even you, in your own capability, you are able to actually help this gentleman because you won. So the Bible tells us that if we want to be virtuous women, let's be submissive to our husbands. But then let's not be mistaken that being submissive does not mean you have to be inferior. There are times when women want to be submissive to the extent that the man does not allow them to suggest anything. No, nothing like, you cannot give an idea at home. The other day I was talking to some lady and she was telling me, even eating, the lady's scared, like you're on a table and then he's like, you can't say anything when my friends are around, That is not the submissiveness that the Bible talks about. We have got to be submissive to our husbands to the extent that we don't allow them to inflict pain on you as a woman. Because once they do that, you lose your confidence as a woman. And then you find that even the things you knew, you don't actually, you seem like you actually don't know them because you are suppressed by a man who believes that you're supposed to submit to me. Then the other thing I want us to look at is we should learn to serve our husbands, just like Esther did, with wisdom, that even when you want them to change in character, in the kind of way of life that they are living, use wisdom, even when you want to change them. They may be the arrogant type, the non-believers, but if you are a virtuous woman, serve them with wisdom and patience, they will be able to convert and come to where you are. They will even start believing in the kind of God you are serving, if you can be wise. Then the other thing as women is let's support our husband's vision. There are some of us who the husband says as the head of the family, this is where we are going this year. Probably we need to work towards financial independence. And then for you are totally going towards the strategies you put in place towards that goal. If it is saving and saving, you are now being luxurious as a woman, because ladies, we love good things. And so in loving good things, you'd imagine you are moving away from what the head of the family is suggesting, and that will bring conflicts among you. And then treat people well. I'm trying to wind up. I can see time is moving. Treat people well, especially the ones that come to your home, because there are people who will say, that lady's home. You cannot tamper entering that home, because when the relatives come, you're imagining they are going to eat all the food. You're like, really? Food? Yeah. So treat people well, because you never know where you find them and you actually need them. And lastly, let's get involved in our husbands' affairs. That's the last thing I need to talk about. Let's get involved in our husbands' affairs, because there are times when they actually ask what your husband does and you have no idea as the wife. And it is true, because to me, I may not even understand what he does. But showing him that you're interested in what he does, one, it will prove to him that you like what he's doing and you're supporting him. Me, why I actually try to get involved in knowing what he does is to help me get prayer points. Because as he's telling me, this one disturbed me at work, this didn't go well, we are moving towards going to talk to this client, me, I'm getting prayer points as a wife, because I imagine if you don't get involved, how will you know? You can only know when you get involved. That's all I needed to say about becoming a virtuous woman. And I thank God for the opportunity. I thank God that I have been able to stand before you and say this. I believe they've been inspired by the Holy Spirit. Thank you for listening to me. Let me welcome Jane, ma'am. Say something.